what is the appropriate use of AI or artificial intelligence in decision making? This is a hot topic that many people are thinking about within management. It's not necessarily a new thing. I don't think it is a new decision, a new framework, because this is an ongoing discussion that's been occurring if you just look at the progression of innovation, right? So if you look at maybe the history of computing or along the lines of that kind of stuff, or the history of tools, it is an extension of what's gone on for many, many years of grappling with at what point do we feel uncomfortable with other things making decisions, doing tasks on our behalf. And that's essentially what any technology is that it's making decisions on our behalf because of the structure of that particular technology, right? So we know it can make us more effective in a certain area of work, and because it makes us more effective in that certain area of work, then we allow it to make a decision for you. So give me an example, or I'll give you an example, right? So you might be digging a hole with your hand, right? And instead of using your hand, you decide to use a shovel. Well, the act of you using a shovel means that you decide, or there's a bunch of different decisions that are made on your behalf because you're actually using that shovel. Now, it's an interesting question when you're thinking about applications of artificial intelligence at this point. So for example, you might be thinking of these AI chat bots, which are these tools that you see online that you're talking to somebody, and it's actually, you're not talking to somebody, it is a computer that you're talking to. And for the most part right now, it doesn't feel human, right? You know you're talking to a computer. There's a lot of frustrations that's involved when you're doing it because it's just disjointed, right? It just doesn't feel right in terms of normal discussion or conversation or flow. But there is also a point in the future where that's going to get better, and it gets better every year, every decade. You know, a decade ago, it was virtually impossible to have a conversation with a computer, and now we can have an awkward conversation with a computer, and perhaps in another decade, probably 15 years, we will have a very conversant conversation with a computer that you will not really know it's a computer. And now this gives us sort of pause for concern, right? All of a sudden we are something else, some other entity is actually making a decision on our behalf, and there is a set of choices that are being made behind that in terms of what the goal is that the artificial intelligence is actually doing. And so this is what makes me a little concerned. It's not necessarily the fact that something or something else is making a decision on our behalf. I'm okay with that. It's the fact that there is an underlying goal that's programmed behind that. So for example, when you're having a conversation with an online chatbot with a business, the goal is to make some sort of conversion for you so that you will actually purchase their good, or maybe use their service or whatever, right? Something along those lines. And I think we have to be careful in terms of the recommendations that we have in terms of what business is actually supposed to be set up to be like, and what is the ultimate goal of business, right? So if our priority is to make artificial intelligence, to make conversions, we're inevitably going to have shallow conversations. Is going to not necessarily feel right, and perhaps we might miss a bigger picture, right? So another thing that you might be thinking about, and perhaps what we should do, is encourage more diversity in terms of the particular outcomes that we have. And you can program that in. You can have not necessarily have the AI always recommend a conversion, right? Recommend purchase this product, but say, hey, why don't you go to the competitor's product? Why don't you talk to somebody else about this? if we have outcomes like that, if we have outcomes that just simply say, hey, you're doing a good job, this is awesome, just keep doing what you're doing, things like that, is a lot more human, a lot more natural, or get them encouraged to pursue different things and try different things, I think we might end up having a better world. And so the question of, should we be afraid of AIs making a decision for us or computers making a decision for us? I don't think that should be the case. I don't think we should be afraid. However, we need to put a caveat on that, right? We need to think about what the world we want should look like. And if we want a world that's very transactional, that's just focused on conversions, then perhaps program the world in such a way that you do that. But if you want a world that makes us better human beings, that makes us feel more natural, makes us feel more human, and then program variety, program things that make us feel more human, where it's not a transaction, it's a friendship, it's somebody, a computer recommending you to do different things. That's essentially why many platforms are actually doing well. So for example, YouTube, I like YouTube. Not everybody likes that, but the reason why I like it is, when people are being very transactional. And yes, those people are being very transactional. They make a lot of conversions and all of that kind of stuff. Make lots of money from that. But there's a whole host of people that are not transactional. And they don't really care about whether they make money or not. And you see through that. And when somebody is being slimy and sleazy. And people are not being slimy and sleazy. So, and those people that are not being slimy and sleazy, that feel natural, that feel like they're normal people, those are the ones that are actually resonating. And those are the ones that people care about. So I just want you to stop and think about that. Is the world that we want largely depends on the decisions that we make. And we can choose to have a world that's very transactional, it's conversion based, or we can choose to have a world that is human. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.